congratulations on all of you and your team's success. It's awesome, awesome during COVID. So tell us a little bit about your business and your team structure and the marketplace that you service in Southern California.
Yes, there's 22 people on our team. We pretty much now service all of Orange County. We're now taking a little market share into Riverside County and a little bit into LA, but our main focus is Orange County. Last year we were at approximately 180 units. What's unique about our team is that we also have the property management component, which is what Gary Keller told us to create a couple years ago in his mastermind group. Well, we already had this division for 8 years. So we get a lot of business through our property management. So we manage 200 doors, and we lease approximately about 100 to 150 tenants a year. So we convert those tenants into buyers later, and the landlords into sellers, so they can carry their investment over to something new. This year to date, definitely a very special year, but we actually saw our volume increase by 30%.
Wow.
So no mistake with market share. We're at 10 agents. I am still producing agents, and the remaining 12 are between property management, our administrative staff, marketing, and field.
That's amazing. And congratulations, 30%. Is that year to date over last first half?
Yes.
Wow, wow, pretty. And what would you attribute that growth to?
Definitely, I mean, we were in the same boat as everyone else, you know, but I did go through 9/11 and the Great Recession. In fact, when I got into real estate in 9/11, I was a single agent. So then came the Great Recession. I found another opportunity, and that's when I was a team of 3. And so I realized, again, with all of Gary Keller's books, that I actually continued to increase this team's market share in the markets that dipped. So when I saw this happen in March, that's when I realized there's an opportunity, and we cannot lead in fear, regardless of what the situation is. So it was a tough one in March for all of us, just like everyone else. But I think that me just being the team leader and having a clear vision made a lot of sense. The first thing we did was cut expenses, but we didn't cut people. So we cut things that we didn't need. That was literally day 1. Day 2 was organizing. So if you talk to my right-hand person, Valerie, who's our operations manager, I didn't give a moment of downtime at all. I said, let's start going through the office. We have 2 offices. I said, let's go through everything. Let's look at every drawer, box, whatever we don't need. We need to donate it to people. We need to see where we overfunded in certain areas and start cutting more expenses, but we did not let not one person go. In fact, we added 3 people to our team since then.
Wow. And before we get into the details of the what did you do, tell us a little bit more about your team. So you have 12 that are property management, admin, and runners. So tell us a little bit about your admin team. Is everyone on site, or do we have people that are working virtually?
Currently, we now are back in the office. It turned out that we just all wanted to be near each other, so it worked out better. It was about 2 months ago, everybody said, can we come back? So we said, okay. So I'm here in our main office right now in Fountain Valley.
Awesome, awesome. And then is all of your team, do you have any virtual assistants, or is everyone?
We have no virtual assistants. Everyone is local and here with us.
Okay, excellent. And your operations manager, Valerie, she's amazing. I've known her for many years as well. Tell us a little bit about her role in your team and how you leverage her so you could focus on what you do best.
Yeah, so Valerie started with me early on when we had only 5 people on our team. So at that time, she wore every hat. Now we have her very specific to finance, HR, hiring, and we have facilities. So we own 2 facilities, so she has to keep up with what's going on with our facilities, as well as managing the administrative staff and doing 411s with our admin.
Excellent, excellent. And then what is your role on the team specifically?
So as I mentioned, I'm still a producing agent. A couple years ago on a couple panels, I thought I didn't want to be in production anymore, but I realized that I really still enjoy it. So I stayed in production. I represent 30% of our team's business as of right now. And so the team carries the other 70% of our business. So I do mainly sellers and investors.
Awesome, awesome. And where is most of your business generated? Is it from online leads? Is it from past clients?
Yeah, so we do run our ROI monthly and quarterly. So we are at about 68% ROI is through our sphere of influence, so through our database.
Wow.
And then the next piece would be the online generation through Google and Yelp, and then our farm.
Excellent. And I'm just taking notes myself. So what is leading you and your team to success? So when COVID hit in March, what did you do differently? What did you personally do differently, and what did you expect your teammates to do differently?
Yeah, no one had to tell us what we were going to do or what we should do. I would say, the first week was just literally figure out what we need to do to make changes immediately. By the second week was learning to get everyone on Zoom and learn how to work from home and all the systems. I know all you guys remember that time. And then by the third week, I realized that the team didn't want to focus on lead generation. They didn't want to track the numbers. You had team members that have kids at home, and then now they're dealing with homeschooling and all this madness. So they, literally resisted. And I realized that, well, I guess we've got to change something there too. So what we did was we said, hey guys, let's reopen the shift. Okay, we'll read it slowly. Wasn't forcing anyone to read it page by page, because no one wants to, put their mindset in that, especially when you're hearing all the news and the media, just all the noise that really makes things a little more confusing. But with that, we started doing, online Zoom lunches with the team, Zoom happy hours on the team, just so that everyone knew that, hey, we're all here for each other, and there were different groups in the team that would kind of, have their little focus groups with each other, whether it be the mom group or the parent group or the whatever, just something, because, all this stuff was kicking in and no one knew where we were going, right? But the main thing was we decided, okay, look, as a team, why don't we reach out to our SOI and just say, how are you guys doing? Are you okay? Simple like, are you okay? I ended up, my husband's aunt was sewing me masks, and, I started posting with masks, and everyone was like, your masks are so nice. Like, where are you getting these? So next you know it, I'm calling my husband's aunt. I said, how many more of these can you make me? And she's like, well, it's just one person. It's not a machine. So she started sewing me these really cute masks, and we started mailing them to clients when they ask about them, or somebody that we haven't reached out to for a while, because we didn't have any more events. We had to cancel all of our events. So a lot of change was happening, but didn't mean that we couldn't do something. What also helped was, remember what I was saying, that we started going through our drawers and our offices and realized how many computers that we had that we weren't using. And we were hearing about kids in underprivileged areas with literally no computer from home. So we started reaching out to people and saying, do you need us to deliver computers for you so that these kids can have their online classes? So a lot of community. And I think that by doing that, it helped the team realize that we are truly grateful for everything, especially the fact that, our team and everyone in real estate, we are on the essential business list. I mean, how thankful can we, we have to look at that as a positive sign. And so we said, well, who can we help now? So we came from a place in order to shift our mindset out of the fact that, we're in this situation, but what can we do? The best we can do is help people.
I couldn't agree with you more. So kind of taking from that comment that you just made, what did you and your team do? And specifically, what did you do yourself to keep yourself in a positive mindset? Because you are the team leader and everyone's looking to Elizabeth to say, is Elizabeth happy or scared?
Yeah. It's funny because I wasn't scared. I really wasn't. I knew that obviously, the well-being of everyone's very important, but this is something that we cannot control. But we have to literally get up every day and just be thankful. And I think that that's what our team really did. I mean, it wasn't about numbers anymore. It was about, what are we grateful for? Okay. And then slowly the activities started up again. In other words, we couldn't just slam phone calls all day and try to do 100 calls a day and try to, track all these numbers when our mind doesn't even know, what are we doing? What are we working for? Right. So I think that naturally on the 4th week, the team said, okay, there's some change in the market and there are things that we can do differently in our business. And clients started reaching out and they started saying, thanks for asking me if I'm okay. And then that's when, now fast forward to where we are right now, is that clients were like, thank you for keeping in touch, but we're ready to move now. So what's going on in the marketplace? So by tapping in or touching people, so to speak, we did receive that call back, and it didn't feel like we were threatening anyone or making people feel uncomfortable. I would say out of a database of 18,000 people that we have, we only got two not so happy emails, from people, from consumers who felt that we were not very, what's the word? We weren't very sensitive to the situation. But out of 18,000, that's not too bad.
Not at all, not at all. And certainly you're just being genuine, really coming from contribution, which is awesome. Awesome. And so when you have your sales agents, what does their accountability look like, and how has it changed during COVID? But what are they required to do? Is there a certain number of contacts to be made daily or weekly? How do you keep them on track to meet your team goals?
Yeah, so we adjusted our overall team goal for 2020 based on our current environment. So what we did, we went back to the team and we said, let's readjust your goals, because some of them were like, I just want to throw away my goals for 2020. And we said, okay, if you want, just throw it away then, start all over. And, we gave them permission to do that. And we said, where do you see yourself? So once they all revisited their goals with their sales director, Ryan, then within that was how many contacts they needed to make. So we were not pushing on the numbers as much as we would have had we not been in a pandemic.
Absolutely. And do they have any standards for accountability to stay on your team? Meaning how many units do they have to close or contacts to be made?
I realize that certain team members, it's not important for them to make $100,000 a year or $200,000 a year. So I know that there are a lot of groups that say, okay, in order to stay here, you need this, this, and this. First of all, in order to stay on this team, you have to be a team player, okay? Secondly, you have to make the commitment in yourself to improve. So if you're going to stay status quo in either your lead generation activities, or you constantly can't fill out an RPA or whatnot, then obviously we have to revisit it. And we do it through the 30, 60, 90. But if certain team members say, hey, this year I only want to make $50,000 because I want to focus on my 2 children that are in their most important years of their life. But after this, maybe next year I'll go to 100. There has been changes in our team members' lives that have resulted in those types of things. And that doesn't mean that we say, well, you're off the team. It's still a great team member. That's what the flexibility in real estate's all about, is that you can choose what you want to make. It's up to you, right?
I love that. I love that. And how long has the longest sales agent been on your team?
Would be, well, Janie. I don't know if she's on here, but she's back because she had 3 children. So she's one of she's one of our team members that was with us about 9 years, and then stepped back a little bit because she really wanted to be a mom. And next, she had 3 kids, and then she's back with us.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And congratulations. I know that's a big deal to have not a lot of turnover, especially when you're creating a brand and have an operation. What would you say is your value proposition if you were talking to someone about choosing your team?
Yeah, our value proposition within our team, and David's with Maria right now, is truly, we are a family in here. I think in David's introduction letter said, welcome to the Elizabeth Doe team family, because this team really works together. So number one, you're going to get major support. It's a raw game. Like, everyone's in it for you. Everyone's here to help you. We want to see everyone grow. There's no direct competition in here. The competition is healthy. Like Maria, who's with us right now too, her goal this year was, she said, I am buying a house by the end of this year. And so we pushed her all year, and then COVID, like, you better buy this house. It better not leave that vision board. And guess what? She just closed escrow on her home. So we really encourage our team members to push each other in a positive manner.
That's awesome. Congratulations, Maria. And certainly it's important to know your team members' big why, so that way we understand why they're doing what they're doing, not just to go lead generate. That's awesome. So going back to, you mentioned that you cut expenses. What expenses did you cut? And what expenses are maybe you continuing to cut, or realizing maybe you had to add in different expenses?
Yeah, so, there's always those subscriptions that we all we get sold on, and we're like, oh yeah, that looks really good. Well, we started realizing we have a lot of those frivolous subscriptions, so we got rid of a good amount of that. I mean, I couldn't tell you what it was, but when we looked at our actual numbers, we're like, why did we let this keep hitting the credit card and never removed it? So that was the first. Marketing was actually one of the second, and I'll tell you this, it was a big move on our part, but we actually cut Zillow, which is $13,000 a year for our team, and we had a vote. We had a vote within our sales team, and it was a debate and a vote. And I was really just sitting back listening. I wasn't part of the vote. I just want to hear out. But we looked at our conversions. We looked at really where our business comes from. And we asked the team, do we really need Zillow? And, you know, after a lot of debate, it turned out that we don't need Zillow. And, you know, if we fast forward right now, we have 32 listings right now. And our business is generated off of those listings. So we don't need Zillow because we're getting the incoming leads through our listings. Listings is leverage. So that was a big expenditure that we took out. So that was kind of nice. And obviously with COVID, we don't have to do flyers anymore. So we saved there, but then we actually bought the 3D Matterport system, and my husband, who's our field rep and our photographer, he had to learn that system within 30 days. So, you know, although we got to get rid of flyers and design for the flyer, we got the 3D Matterport. So it kind of washed right there.
Even though it washed, certainly a great investment nonetheless. Saving costs other areas by having that. So what does lead generation look like for you personally, Liz?
So my top producer right now, before I got on this call, is completely cleared. Right, Maria? So I actively lead generate 5 days a week. It's through top producer. I have assigned to me 2,100 contacts. Those are past clients, nurtures throughout the years. And so every contact has some kind of follow-up system to it, whether I've converted a lot of these into the 33 touch, but I also added, put these people into the shift campaign. So I don't know if anybody's looked at the Keller Williams shift campaign. There's some catchy topics in there. There's some that might hit them the wrong way because of COVID, but you know, we deleted some of those out. But like, that's what I focused on during the shelter. Was I was moving all my contacts into different campaigns that made more sense. And it's actually getting a lot of traction now. So I lead generate 2 to 3 hours a day. That's probably an average of anywhere between 30 to 40 contacts a day. And a lot of those are follow-ups, or it could be like that phone call of, hey, are you really looking to move now? Because the market's in a really good position for you. So I come from a consultative approach, as you can tell you in my tone of voice. Clients don't look at me like I'm calling for no reason. They really know that I'm calling because I'm really here to give them some advice. And typically it's market advice, economic. You know, I always have some kind of tools related to numbers, and I'm very confident in my abilities to explain the market to people. So that helps a lot.
That's awesome. And so congratulations on 32 active listings. That's amazing. And since we're not able to have the traditional open houses, what did that look like for your team? And how has it evolved, so to speak, to today?
The first couple weeks, we tried the Zoom open house thing. It didn't really work too well. We didn't find it to be very smooth. So, and then as you guys know, like even at that time in April, I mean, people were not calling, you know, so we were like, okay, well, but now where we're at right now, we have in the last 4 weeks, we've put up 3 to 4 listings a week. And if we look at our grasshopper numbers, I think it's something like, it went from 9 calls to 64 a week. So, you know, the volume has increased because of the demand in the marketplace. So what we do is by appointment, right? So the great thing about COVID, the positive thing is that, number one, consumers are more honest with us because we have to ask them. Like, remember those questions we always ask, and the buyer, no, I just want to see the house, okay? Well, now it's like, well, we can't just see the house anymore. We need to understand your situation, get a pre-approval letter, have you sign the PED waiver, all these things. So in actuality, we feel like we're having better conversations with the buyers, and they're not as receptive to answering the questions. So we're setting appointments to go see the property. So we have increased our buyer leads. I don't know the number, but we'll have to have Ryan give us those numbers, but it has increased dramatically through having all these listings during this time.
Absolutely, and certainly with the stronger pre-qualification, you're going to have a lot more probability of converting those buyers as long as we can find the inventory for them.
I told my team, what's the $1 million tool right now? And they're all quiet and they're listening. And I'm like, expireds, call the expireds from last year. You know, they have no idea. They have no idea that the market's like this right now. You know, a majority of our sellers, they literally think no one is seeing homes right now. It's a surprise to them when we tell them that what kind of activity we're getting. And they're saying, well, shoot, if that's the case, let's do it.
I couldn't agree with you more. If everyone's listening to the news, they definitely don't really know what's going on, probably. So it's up to us to do that. So I love that. So you're doing, so that's another lead generation source. You did do expireds, but now you're choosing to do the expireds of 2019 to help them see that there's demand for their properties out there. Excellent, excellent. So you mentioned earlier, and I know that you're a big farmer. I get your postcards where I live all the time. So what does farming look like now? And I'm not sure if you were a door knocker, because obviously door knocking isn't going to be appropriate per se.
Yeah, I was a door knocker in my earlier days, but not anymore. I became big in farming 10 years ago. And it has a lot to do with looking at where is the demographics going? Where's everyone, you know, are they moving out of here? Are they going to nursing homes? Are they unfortunately passing away? Is there heirs inheriting the property? What's going on? So I'm very selective on the houses that I'm going after. So I do not farm one neighborhood. I do not farm one tract. I actually am spanned out 5 cities, which is Fountain Valley, Westminster, Garden Grove, Anaheim, Costa Mesa, and Huntington Beach. And I'm after how long the people have been in that home. So I'm looking for more baby boomers. Although, Colleen, I don't know how my postcard got to your house.
I don't know. So when you say on how long they've been in the house, is there a certain number of years when you're looking, and how often do you revisit? How do you add or remove homes in your farm? So you're very targeted and selective.
Yeah, very targeted. Baby boomers, if you guys read, they stay in their home average of 28 years, okay? So regardless of how many times you knock at their door, and I know that a lot of you guys have experienced, you're like, I'm never gonna move. They kind of really mean that, okay? And or you talk about the silent generation, which are 81 years older or older. If you knocked at their door, they're gonna say, I'm going to die here. They really mean it, okay? So by me going straight to a certain house at a given time where it hits 2 years before I believe that they will sell, that's where I'm putting my name in front of them, okay? And these folks have a lot of equity in their home. So, you know, you're not up against a situation where they can't bring in cash or they have issues or whatnot. A lot of these houses could be deferred maintenance, so you need to have options for the seller, a clean out crew. You need to have a lot of resources for them because, you know, they're older, so they may not be able to move, you know, 30 years worth of their stuff out of this house.
Absolutely. And you mentioned before, when we were talking about lead generating, and I know you did a lot of events and a lot of face-to-face meetings, so to speak. So what does that look like now, and knowing that we may not be able to have events throughout the end of the year? How did that change inside of your 33 touch plan, or 36 touch plan rather?
So John's here with us right now. He did his first time home buyer Zoom class to the millennial generation. So there's a lot of things that we can do still. It goes back to also community. So we did a shred day event, which, by the way, you guys, shred day, it's a drive-through situation, right? So we continued our shred day, and oh my gosh, I can't remember that day. We didn't even get to sit down for a second. I believe we had over 100 people there. The community responded very well and said, thank you for doing this during this time. And also, we cleaned out our garage a month ago, and this stuff's been sitting here, so thanks to your team. So, community stuff. There's things we can do.
I love it. And do you mind if I ask John, if he doesn't mind, about the Zoom first-time buyers? I've been recommending that to a lot of our agents, and I don't know if anyone's yet taken my my little, push to do it. And so congratulations, John. And how did you feel doing it, and what was the reception from the audience?
I was very nervous, and it was my first speaking event. We had an okay turnout, and took away a lot of good things to prepare for the next one.
Awesome. Did you do it alone? Did you have one of your lenders doing it with you? How did you?
I'm sorry, you kind of cut.
Oh,
I had one.
Did you?
I had one of our. Yeah, I had one of our preferred lenders sit in on it as well. So I led it off, and then he took over the second half and kind of went over some of the basic questions that a first-time home buyer would have for a lender.
Awesome. Congratulations. And now I know the second one won't be as nerve-wracking.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very cool.
Did a great job.
Well, we have to be creative, and I think as those of us that have been on many of our Survive and Thrives, is a lot of this has forced us to become digitally based and then physically enhanced. And so I think, the COVID silver lining is making us do it when we weren't necessarily wanting to do it, and now we're having to do it. So very cool, very awesome. And what about, Elizabeth, you said a lot of your your business comes from investors and past clients. Did you, or have you thought about doing an investor workshop or something based around the Millionaire Real Estate Investor book?
Yeah, we did do one last year. I am guilty and have not put it back on the calendar for this year, but I've been having a lot of great conversations personally with clients. So what I see happening right now is that also our investor clients are looking to move up, move down. So I'm calling clients and asking, how's everything going with your rental properties? And I'm seeing a lot of change in that. If it's a multifamily, for instance, and it's owned by, a baby boomer investor, they generally didn't handle the COVID situation too well with managing their tenants. So a lot of them have said, you know what, my kids want me to sell this thing. It takes up too much of my time. So I either say, look, it's a management thing, which is we can manage it for you, or we can look into different opportunities for you. So I'm actually doing more one-on-one conversations with clients because it's actually touching upon a lot of sensitive topics, and it's they've been openly talking about how they feel about everything.
Absolutely. Well, and just more reasons to have conversations and genuine conversations, as we said.
Yeah.
So what about, how are you educating buyers and or sellers? Is it through your drip campaigns, or is it just based on asking great questions when you call them on the phone?
Yeah, I set appointments a lot with clients to talk about the market. So, usually I'll send them a glimpse of the market through our Orange County market report with Stephen Thomas as an example. But not a lot of people want to look through that and a lot of charts and numbers. They might not have that kind of brain, so to speak, to look at that. But if you give them a little bit of a snapshot through an email, then you say something like, hey, how about Friday at 4 o'clock? We get on a call and we just talk a little bit about what's going on. Set appointments to talk to people.
And are you finding your clients are wanting to do it just the traditional phone, or are they wanting to do a Zoom? Do they feel more engaged if we're doing a Zoom and perhaps being able to look at the properties together on the screen?
It's been 50-50. There have been people who say phone calls, okay, Zoom. Older generation's been fine on Zoom because their kids have been communicating with them through Zoom, so they know how to use it. And some are actually comfortable with us coming to their home. Some are saying, I really want you to come over and see what I've done to the place. And, so we're pretty flexible.
Sure. Or you're like, yes, I can't wait to come over.
Yeah.
We're right there. No, I love that. I love that. So how are you educating yourself and your team members aside? You mentioned the shift, rereading the shift. Anything else that you're doing to educate? I know you're in Gary Keller's Top 100 Mastermind. Congratulations for that honor.
We're reading this book right now. Can you guys see it?
Big Shifts Ahead.
And it's great because it talks about where our generational markets are going to be from a marketing standpoint, from even they call it PR, marketing, sales, and it just talks about where's our world going, and it's specifically talking about the United States, but it talks about, immigrant families to young millennials to, what are the baby boomers really thinking? Where do they all want to go? Who are they following? Usually the baby boomers will follow their children because they want to be near their grandchildren, versus a silent generation will not do any of the above. They will stay exactly where they are and they're comfortable with that. Okay, so I think this is a great book for those of you who are looking at, what's the dynamic and where's our world turning? It's turning exactly where this book is talking. It talks about single women, single moms, the working class, the dual income class, all kinds of things. Because we have to relate to our clients and what they're going through.
Most definitely. And who is the author of Big Shifts Ahead?
John Burns and Chris Porter.
Awesome. And what other books would you recommend? I know you're very education-based. One of the reasons why we connected early on.
I really, you guys, I'd get back into the shift. I would get back into the MREA. Right now, more than anything, you only have time to re-look at everything you're doing and go back to basics. I wouldn't complicate things at all.
So how would you say, when you say go back to basics, what does that mean to you? And what does that mean when you're saying it to your people?
I would say like this, because COVID pretty much broke us all down, right? Broke us down and brought us all back up. Maybe some of us aren't back up yet. If you're halfway, good. But it also gives us a time to realign. And, I've seen a lot of people's Facebook posts are like, time to reflect, time to be thankful, but also time to rebuild what maybe you feel you haven't done your best. This is a time right now. So you can start over. You can redo, you can create new systems, you can create better habits, but start from the beginning and build those those building blocks right back up. And you got 6 more months to do it. And then 2021 is going to be ready for everybody in here, right?
Indeed, there's plenty of time left in this year. And what about how are you and your team leveraging video and other digital marketing?
Yes. So our team is followed by about 3,000 people locally, internationally too, because we have a lot of international business. So we just post, about our properties that we sell. We post, fun videos about the team. We had to lighten it up a lot because people weren't really caring about homes for sale. So we did, during this time, we have a team member, V, and she has experience in production. So her internship project during COVID was she's like, I'll do some fun team videos. So she came up with these really cool videos, and it's kind of like the behind the scenes of the Elizabeth Doe team, and it had nothing to do with real estate. And we posted them. We got a lot more views on that, and people just felt it was a little more lighthearted, right? So that's one of the things that we did. It's crazy to see 22 people, and we're so talented. And that's what we're doing during this COVID is like, okay, you don't want to lead generate? Do videos, okay? One of our team, two of our team members were internships on one of my projects for remodeling a home. So they said, we don't really want to think about lead generating. We just want to learn something new right now. So we worked on those together. So again, everyone needed to kind of get away from what was going on, and then we focused on other things.
Well, I'm going to have to go back and look at your videos, the bloopers from the Elizabeth Doe team. All right, I have a question from the audience. We have Rob's asking, what is next for you, Elizabeth? What is your 10-year goal?
10 years, yes. So I promised my husband, so this got to happen, that I would truly be out of production in 10 years. I know it's a long time, but 10 years to me will go by very quickly. So I'm working on my passive income, which are rental properties and income, so that I can focus on having more time with my family. I don't have kids, but I'm very close to my father, my brother, my in-laws. I have a 9-year-old sister. So I really want to focus on her and her education. She's supposed to be here this year, but she could not due to COVID, but she'll be here next year. And I want to focus on her and her education and being a part of her life.
I love that. That's awesome. And being such a great role model too. The success you've had at a very young age and continue to have. So I love it. I love it. So if there was something that you wish you knew when we first started the Safer at Home orders to where we are today, and that could help others that are listening today, what would you give as a piece of advice?
I kind of live on adrenaline, sadly. So I don't look at anything as what I would do better, but I think that if I really look back, I could have probably been a little more sensitive. But I told my team, and I was really hard with them. I said, I don't want to see anyone in here break and fail. We have to get through this. We cannot live in fear. We cannot watch the media destroy our brains and allow us to fall into a hole that we cannot get out. So, that was my biggest thing. Because I've gone through a lot in my career, and I've had, certain things happen to me. And I remember a time, I think it was 12 years ago, when, something happened to one of my family members. And that was, this person was so powerful, so strong, so successful. But one thing broke him down, and he wasn't the same person anymore. And I remember the person that was trying to talk to him say to him the exact same thing. He said, you can be successful at any point in life with anything that comes your way, but don't go into fear mode. So And yeah, I know my team was like, she's a machine. She's so crazy. She's like not even paying attention to what's going on. But it's like, it's here. It's what we're living together as an entire world, right? So at that point, I can't say I want to stop and not do anything, So, but at the same time, I probably could have a little more sensitive bone, just a little.
And now thinking back to when you first started your real estate career, for those that are listening that are newer to having a real estate career starting, what would you wish you knew then that you would want to give them as advice?
Definitely give up a lot to be able to delegate. I was 10 years in the business before I hired one person. So everyone, of course, looks at me now and says, oh, Elizabeth Doe, she's got this big team and she's always been that way. No, I was the stubborn realtor, 10 years all by myself. That was when, that was when we had carbon forms. That's when we had to go run to a client's house. If we missed the initial, I'd run all the way back, throw it through a fax machine. All that. That wasn't even that long ago. But I was very stubborn. I said, no one can do it like me. Well, Maria will tell you, I recently met a client again after 15 years, I think. His family's been a part of our team for a very long time. And the brother didn't even recognize me. He tells his brother, he goes, that's Elizabeth, the one that's been helping our family the last 15 years. And he said, yeah. He goes, Elizabeth, do you remember how fat you were? Straight up, no filter. I said, oh yeah, I was overweight. I looked so stressed out. He said, we knew you were always working hard for us, but you were so stressed out looking. And he said, look at you now. You're happy, you have clarity, and I think that just seeing a client like that was just a couple of days ago. He saw a difference in how I looked, because I was just retaining all the stress and I didn't want to delegate anything. Well, now that I delegate to the people that do things best, like admin and marketing, if you gave me that back, I would do it terribly, right? So I realized there are certain things that I'm really good at and there are certain things I'm just not, and I'm okay with that.
And thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being vulnerable. And when you made that first hire, what was their job description? Was it as the MREA teaches us?
Yes, assistant first.
Assistant first. Definitely, yes. Definitely. Take it off your plate.
Not a buyer's agent, guys.
Wait, say that again, Ellen? Your first hire isn't who?
Is not a buyer's agent. An assistant first.
No, I couldn't agree with you more, because at the end of the day, you're still doing all of those tasks that are most likely not giving you any energy. It's not exciting and certainly going to stress you out and be an energy drain, if you will. So looking at, I always say, write down every single task you do as an individual agent and then highlight the things you enjoy doing, and everything that's not highlighted is that first hire for that administrative position. Awesome. And not to put Maria on the spot, but I love how you have your team members on, showing how big of a family you are and support. Maria, why do you love being on the Elizabeth Doe team, and what would you recommend for others who are maybe contemplating joining a team as opposed to being a single agent, especially in today's market?
I will say with Liz, she was my realtor back in 2004. So everything that everybody has ever read about her, it's totally true, because I got to experience it. I've worked with her for 5 years, but I've known her for a very long time. The one thing I would say to anybody is be coachable. Be coachable and really be open-minded and take constructive criticism well. If you do that, I think that's going to be the key to learning, and that's what we do here. As our sales director is right next to me. It is something that is super important for us, right?
Allow yourself to be held accountable, right?
Yes, all the time.
We're doing the script.
Script and role play in the other room.
By the way, they're in our Elizabeth Doe team kitchen where we make a lot of good food every day.
And popcorn.
And popcorn.
I was gonna say, I see the popcorn maker. It probably smells really good in there too. Well, Maria, thank you. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I just love seeing the team together. Does anyone else have any last questions for Elizabeth? We so appreciate your time today. And I loved really what you said earlier is going back to the basics. And how I hear that is that don't go wider, go deeper, and go deeper with your database. Get into deeper relationships with your people so you know their desires and their needs, and then you can be able to be the expert and the professional to show them how to get to those goals.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So any parting words, Elizabeth, before we end today?
No, that I really wish all of you guys amazing 2020. There's a lot of opportunities right now. I've always been told that opportunities come when you're, like Marie said, you're coachable, but at the same time that you have clarity. So we have to be clear right now on what we're doing, and the opportunities will show up because we're clear. When we are not clear, that's when we can't see straight, and then we miss those opportunities. There's a ton of market share to be taken right now during this market time. There are a lot of people who are, unfortunately leaving the business, but that also means that some of you who've been wanting to work a certain area, this is a great opportunity for you guys to look into those avenues. And, when I say people are leaving, it could be they're retiring. So it's not a negative thing either. So, now is a great time to build that market share.
Most definitely, most definitely. Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth. Thank you to the team members that joined us today, and congratulations on your success in June and year to date, and I can't wait to see how you end 2020. So thank you for your time. All right, have a good afternoon, everyone.
Okay, bye.